I might do Facebook or, to put some exciting department information on while I'm sitting here, but.
Mr. Lefebvre, you
Ready.
ready? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the East Hempfield Township Traffic Commission meeting to order. I would ask that you would all join me and rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item up for business is we have two sets of minutes to approve. One for the Traffic Commission for the meeting of May 17th, 2023. I was not present and cannot vote on the approval of those minutes. So with that, are there any changes to the minutes from May 17th, 2023?
None here.
Mr. Weaver? Okay. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Lefebvre. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Weaver. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0 with one abstention. The meeting minutes from June 21st, 2023. Mr. Weaver, I believe you were absent at that meeting.
Yep.
Mr. Lefebvre, do you have any?
I have none. Thank you.
Neither. So is there a motion to accept the minutes from June 21st, 2023?
So moved.
Okay, motion from Mr. Lefebvre, second from the chair. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 2-0 with one abstention. Up next, we have the traffic report. Mrs. Schweitzer or Chief, who's?
Chief Brubaker could take that if there's anything unusual that you wanted to discuss.
Sure. So in the last month, we gave a lot of effort to the 900 block of Nishley Road, as was voiced at the meeting last month. So we had 4 unread details there. We used the driveway that was offered to us and have had luck. So we'll continue to monitor and give that area some attention.
Okay. So I do appreciate your efforts and definitely your follow-up
Mhm.
with this. So thank you. Any comments or questions? Any comments or questions from the audience on this? Okay. All right. Traffic studies, I don't believe we have anything in the works right now, or
No,
anything
we're-
to report, rather.
Nothing to report. There was we'll have a bunch next month. Let's put it
Okay.
that way. They've been out, they've been collecting a lot of data, but I don't have the reports for you.
Old business, the truck route study, I'm guessing we're going to be getting that next
We
month.
have a meeting with West Hempfield on the 24th, so it's
Okay.
moving along.
Any new business?
No.
Mr. LaFever?
None here.
Okay. Public comment? Anybody from the public that wants to make a comment, traffic commission related?
Morning or afternoon. Do you need me to say my name and address?
Please.
Alexander DiMarzio, 2311 Marietta Avenue, Lancaster, PA, 17603. I believe this is the third or fourth time I've stood here in front of you gentlemen and ladies. I'm here as a concerned citizen for another neighbor that couldn't be here today, but will be joining you next month. I don't know if you saw the incident that happened at the 2300 block of Marietta, but there was a car that ran into a house and did over $100,000 worth of damage, destroying a historical building that was there called the Cardinal's Nest. It used to be called something else. I can't remember, but it was a bed and breakfast at one point up until recently. But the reason why I'm standing here and our neighbors are here as well and more want to come to these meetings is to just continue the discussion on what we can do on Marietta. We are well aware that there might not be much we can do about the speed. You know, we're not irrational in the sense that like, we know we can't put speed traps or I should say speed bumps there. We can put more police officers, you know, but we understand that you're stretched thin and we thank you for all the work you guys do because we see them every now and then. But is there any way to continue the discussion or we can kind of petition PennDOT to do something on that street? Because the main issue we have is them running into houses. Every neighbor that I talk to, and they can kind of attest to it, every year a house is hit or a car is hit. There's some damage to every single property on this street. And every neighbor that I talk to has incurred some sort of damages. In the 7 years I've been there, 6 of our cars have been hit in the 7 years. One was totaled last year. I don't know if you remember, Chief, the one car hit the Jeep and then flipped over and went up the bridge on Marietta. That ended up totaling our car. We do not park out front pretty much anymore. We park in the back, you know, just common sense. But what I had suggested to the committee before was putting in some type of rumble strips on the white lines. The response I got back was that it would cause too much noise having the rumble strips there. I mean, in all honesty, we have the train in the backyard. That's about the noisiest thing you could ask for because it blares the horn multiple times throughout the day. The neighbors don't mind the noise. We'd rather sacrifice the noise over safety, in all honesty.
So just so I'm clear, and I'm sorry, I'm coming late to this party, 2300 block of Marietta, is that Roarstown?
Yes. 22 and 23. So that would be Roarstown Road, basically from Marietta and Roarstown up Marietta,
Okay,
up until that, the bridge, well, not the bridge, but the over Route 30.
okay. And this is a state route, correct? This is not our road in that area. It's
It
still
is.
PennDOT. And do we have any ability whatsoever to do anything on the state road as far as rumple strips or speed bumps or anything of that nature?
I'd have to check my notes unless you recall. I do recall your conversation. And
Yeah.
I do remember the response. And one of the reasons was noise. I know we reached out to PennDOT.
I don't have the results of that. I have my notes from last time about the rumble strips.
Okay,
but
we had
I-
reached
I-
out to our
I do
traffic
think that's all
engineer.
going to be PennDOT if I'm not mistaken.
So,
Okay.
and this is the first, and maybe I was part of this conversation and just have forgotten, so please forgive me. But my understanding with a state road, that there's a process that has to be, to make any changes, has to go through, and it doesn't, we don't have the say in that. Now, if we're talking about back streets or township roads or that kind of thing, we have the ability to make those decisions. We've been reluctant in the past to do so. But if it is a township street, we have more authority and more jurisdiction. has that been part of the conversation that you recall?
As in, like petitioning PennDOT or,
Well,
No.
just to get a speed bump or rumple strips or anything of that nature.
aside from the last conversation we had where I proposed the rumble
Mhm.
strips on the white lines alone,
Mhm.
that was the only conversation we had. But like I said, the response was the noise level for the neighbors.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't feel like this is a one-way street. I'm more than happy to put in the time and effort, and get signatures from the neighbors if we need to, whatever the case may be, petition PennDOT on our end, whatever. But we know that it might not be possible for a speed bump. We get that.
Mhm.
It's hard to control speed in general. And we understand the last conversation we had is if you put a speed bump there, where else are they gonna go?
Mhm.
That might cause an issue. So completely understand that. The other suggestion that has been tossed around by neighbors, and I don't know the reality of this, this is where your expertise comes into place. But I don't know what the proper name is, but the bump outs. You ever see like in the cities where they put kind of that bump out on the white line, where it has like a sidewalk bump out, and then there's certain parking spots, and then there's trees put in on that bump out of sidewalk.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense, where they kind of like narrow the street at certain points. That's one thing that's been tossed around, but I know that's also probably more costly. And in that regard, if people are driving into cars or driving into houses, if they hit that, it might deter them or stop them from doing that. So we're really looking at options for stopping them from hitting cars or houses, or people. Yeah,
This is a stretch from Roarstown Road out, as you said, to the bridge at Route 30,
correct.
and includes a railroad overpass.
Yes,
And that railroad overpass, to my recollection, has somewhat of an irregularity in the flow of the paving, sort of a hump, if you will. No? Yes? I'm trying to figure out why we're having this problem on the west side of Roarstown Road. We don't have the problem, to my knowledge, on the east side.
correct.
And there must be something about the road configuration or something, given that people drive too fast. That's given, but there's some reason they're losing control.
And they're going over the white line and hitting things. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm
I don't
just
know.
wondering if there's something about the structure of that bridge and its age there is different than other stretches of road.
I know maybe one thing. Yes, ma'am. If you,
Yeah, can we, just for minute purposes, and why don't we finish and then we'll let you come up and speak?
one thing I might think of is that if I remember correctly, the houses are definitely pretty close to the street.
Hmm.
Like I know it's not a far distance for those houses from the street. And one thing that's concerning for me, it hasn't happened yet, other than one of the houses on our street next to my neighbors here, their whole front of their house was ripped off at one point a couple years ago. And the people that lived there were walking down their steps, and then all of a sudden they were out in the street because a car had completely ripped off the front of their house. What's concerning to me is not that, it is, but many of our houses have the gas right in front. And so with the gas lines being right in front of the house, if a car were to come onto my property, which before we owned it had already happened, but they had oil at that time, thankfully, if they hit that gas line, I worry what might happen with an explosion or, God forbid, something. So that's another reason why, we're coming so many times to ask for help or some type of assistance in figuring this problem out.
So this is right in Roarstown? that
Yes,
we're
sir.
talking? So how fast can people be going in Roarstown? Makes you wonder, are they trying to beat the light and there's stop traffic and they lose control, or I just,
Then you've got tractor trailers that will come down from the bridge and won't stop until they get past the church there, the Salem UCC. And they'll put on, I don't know what it's called, but they'll put on their, yeah. And they'll just slam on that, and you can hear it. I mean, you can hear it from our house, inside, outside, so.
So I think for us, there's two things we need to do. I think one, we need to get the statistics and determine, what the actual numbers are for the last few years. And then two, I think we need to find out exactly if there are going to be any corrections or things done to that roadway, what the process is and where to start with it.
I have a couple comments just to,
Okay.
as far as the Marietta Avenue on the east side of Norristown Road is posted no parking. Which would be one difference. I thought that I just pulled up Google Earth and I'm driving that stretch. The shoulder width is narrow as it is in the section 2300 block where it's not posted no parking, but the other section is posted no parking. So to answer part of the question as to why we're not having similar accidents on the east side of the intersection, that would be one reason. I do have crash data from the last 5 years for the block of which is being discussed tonight. And we've had 8 accidents where property has been struck that's been mailboxes or parked vehicles, so on and so forth. Roughly, we have about 12 accidents in the last 5 years. 8 of the 12 are all for vehicles parked on what would be the shoulder between the white line and the kind of the sidewalk, the residential area there. So there certainly are some improvements and we can absolutely get some of the data, but I think one thing that should be taken in consideration, probably with PennDOT, would be why one stretch is posted no parking and why the stretch that is more narrow is not posted no parking. That would have solved some of the property damage in vehicles as well as mailboxes that have been struck over the years.
And I'm taking it, we don't have the ability to just pop up no parking sign.
I don't believe we do.
We don't.
Okay.
I did find the correspondence I got from the traffic engineer the last time Alex was in and talked to us. And he did indicate the noise was the problem with the rumble strips. He didn't say they were illegal. They just said it was noisy. He did suggest in his comments to have a meeting with PennDOT and talk about what's possible. But it might involve some changes to your street, such as no parking, such as the bump outs. And while the people here sitting here may agree with that,
Yeah.
what we have found is it not necessarily is over the whole, exactly. And then we're in a difficult situation.
And that's why I was saying as a representative of the street, I'm more than happy if you would like me to, or someone from the district, the township, to go house by house and, get signatures or get their feeling. I have no problem with doing that. I don't think any neighbor would mind talking about the issues on there as well.
I think our first step is probably talking to PennDOT.
Okay.
Seeing what our traffic engineer suggests. Seeing if there is, what the speed problem is, to what extent, doing that.
Okay.
So we can go to PennDOT and say, here's what we have, at the very least, match it to the 2300 block with the no parking issue.
All right, does that sound like a reasonable?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
thank you guys very much for hearing me and working with us on this issue. I appreciate it.
So Ms. Schweitzer, at the next meeting, we'll follow up. Does that sound, it gives us a month?
Yes.
Ma'am, did you want to say a few words? I know.
Cindy Robertson. I live at 986 Nisley Road. I just wanted to, I said about the house, I was thinking the houses are closer to the road as well on that stretch, because I do travel that road a lot. And that's what I noticed, is the houses are real close. Anyway, and then he said that. So, but anyway, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time and coming out and looking at the speed on Nisley Road. I appreciate it very much. And I look forward to working with everybody, hopefully on a now and then basis, trying to keep track of what's going on. And then you did answer my question about the truck study, because I was going to ask about that too, with the trucks coming down there. But I guess on the 24th, you'll have a meeting with West Hempfield.
Yes.
So then
Staff.
you guys will have an answer or some
That won't involve,
information on the next meeting, maybe?
that won't involve Nisley Road, though.
Oh,
That is not part of the traffic or the
Okay,
truck
'cause-
study.
okay, because I had asked last time if Nisley Road could, if you guys know.
Mm,
Couldn't talk to them about the trucks on.
I mean, the
Nissley
truck
Road?
study's already completed.
Oh, okay. I
It's
get
just a matter of fine tuning it and
it.
the
Okay,
draft is out
okay,
and that wasn't part of the scope.
okay, okay. Okay, I just had asked about that last time and I didn't know. So, but yeah, we do have on Nissley Road as well, we have a lot of trucks coming down there. Matter of fact, on Tuesday morning, there was one from MCS Trucking. That tractor trailer was like the size of 2 tractor trailers.
But they are allowed on Nistley Road.
That big? I mean, it took up
Yes,
over
there's
half the
no
road.
restrictions, no
Okay.
restrictions at all.
Okay, and then I also saw Snavely construction dump trucks going back and forth, and they're allowed to
Done
do that
better.
too?
Yes, it's a public
Okay.
street.
Huh?
It's a
Now,
public
would they
street.
be allowed on Centerville Road?
No, because that's posted currently and that's part of the truck study to be determined to continue as a no truck route.
And the reason that I asked that is because they do take our road as an alternative route.
I think
So-
Which is
especially-
allowed.
I think we did talk about that the last time I was here.
Especially now with Church Street, with the construction there, that's a big part of it. I think,
So that you guys know that it's happening on Nissley, so.
But it's allowed.
But
The trucks
now
are
what will
allowed on
happen
Nistley.
with the truck study on Centerville Road? Would that not be allowed anymore if they say no?
I'm sorry, say that
I
again.
mean, on Centerville, like if you guys have that meeting and they say no trucks on Centerville Road, that'll be allowed then? No trucks will
If
be
the board
allowed?
decides to adopt that, yes.
Okay, so how could I keep it from happening on our road? Because
What
our
the
road's a
fundamental-
smaller road.
The fundamental issue is trucks need to go somewhere.
right,
And that's was part of the truck study and trucks don't really want to use local roads if they don't have to. And so we develop a truck route for them, which they type into their GPS and typically they find the truck routes. But that doesn't preclude Snavely's or any other business from using Nistley Road if
Or
that's more
construction.
convenient to them.
Or construction vehicles or anything like that. So
Nope.
you're saying they're allowed on Nissley, but they wouldn't be allowed on Centerville.
Correct.
And that's what I don't understand. So I want to understand that. I want to understand why not Centerville and why they're allowed on our road. Our road's a smaller road. And that's why I'm
Well,
concerned.
and
We have no
two, let's-
sidewalks
okay.
either.
But let's not get the cart before the horse.
Okay.
Let's see what the recommendations are from the actual truck study. So it may be some trucks are allowed and some aren't.
Okay.
Might be a hybrid. It might not be all no trucks. But as Mrs. Schweitzer said, the trucks have to go north to south some way. And right now, one of the main ways, which is Church Street, is blocked. So unfortunately, until we get that open, you're going to have some overflow on Nistley. Hopefully, once Church Street is open, a lot of this will take care of itself, but we'll see.
Well, I can wait that long. I'll see what happens. And
Okay.
if it continues, then I can always bring it up again.
Okay,
Okay? And that's it.
thank you. Any other questions? Comments?
Hi, my name's Dennis McGarvey. I live at 2239 Marietta Avenue and similar, basically an adjunct to what Alex was bringing up. The speeding is obviously a problem. I don't know, again, how to stop it possibly. I would recommend putting up one of those speed indicating radar signs, says you're going, flashes when you're going too fast. Some of those people are coming down off the railroad bridge pretty fast, which is probably what occurred during that last accident there at Elizabeth Street. So that would possibly be an inexpensive way to get people's attention so they at least know they're going too fast. Some of them are just idiots. They go too fast anyway. Specifically, motorcycle riders seem to have a real problem. I've had people without a doubt, I bet you everybody here would also say, there's a guy that goes through there almost every night and every day, probably 70 or 80 miles an hour. What do you think? I mean, that's no joke. He's running a crotch rock and he is moving. And he winds it out. And one of these days, somebody's going to pull out down on the other side of the hill and there'll be splattered bodies. But that's just somehow maybe they could find a way to stop that kind of nonsense.
So you say it's like a routine for the motorcycle, he's on his way to work or something like that?
Does it every day, pretty much every day. and every
Same
night.
time of day?
At the same time, I'm sorry, about the same time, sometimes 11 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock. And also there's apparently people like to test run motorcycles down that street. I won't say from where, but that's what happens. I've seen it happen. I've yelled at them. Sometimes he won't come back that way when I do yell at him, but on the occasion I happen to be out there. Another thing is we did bring up the engine retarding braking systems that, like, there's no need for a truck to be using his Jake brake going down that hill. So maybe there's something we can, limit that. I think we have the ability to do that as a township. But speaking of when things were, they ran into our neighbor that did live next to us, the house right next to us, he had his Beamer parked out in front of his house. We were on vacation. And he sent us a little, basically a picture of where somebody had ran into his car, drove it into our front yard, missed our gas meter by a foot, just stopped a foot from our gas meter. And so that took a lot of power to push it from where it was to where it ended up. So that's, I'm not, and the parking issues, like, I don't know if stopping parking there is gonna be a real benefit because they're just gonna go faster. Because that last accident, there wasn't anybody parked on that street and they came down and whacked into a DHL truck. So anyway, that's something I mentioned about maybe a speed indicating sign that wake people up when they see that thing flashing here going too fast. And I'm not saying everybody has to do 35 miles an hour, 45, 50, but one of these days I'll get a radar gun and just sit out there and read it. I know they're doing 60 and that motorcycle's doing 80. Without a doubt, I can tell by the Doppler effect, so. But anything else, guys? Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
What,
Yeah, if you want to park there and nail them, I'll be glad to let them use it.
this specific motorcycle, what time is it going through?
Usually around 6 and maybe 11, 5, 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
In the morning or the
In
evening?
the evening, yeah. Yeah, and he really is hauling, and it's a regular thing. And literally you can hear him when he's going, he goes up over top of the rise, over to the bridge. And one of these days, somebody's gonna pull out of that the new development and get cream,
Eh,
or the.
And
or
I'm
the
sorry,
school.
at
Then we
6
got-
PM, is he going east or westbound?
He's going westbound.
Westbound
Yeah.
at 6 and eastbound at 11?
Yeah, 11, 6 o'clock, 11, somewhere around that time, yeah.
And what color is it?
Is it between 6 and 11 or at 6? and
Right at around 6, I guess. What do you think, folks? Around 6 and then around 11 o'clock? Give or take. Yeah, I mean, it's around that time frame. I can't say exactly, but it's very
So
close to
why
that.
don't we do this maybe the next time?
Yeah.
You get it. We can get that information forwarded to the police department and, maybe they can follow up. If it's something that is routine,
So
that's,
make you aware of it. That's all.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, you gotta do something right away, but I'd hate to see what would happen in the eventuality that somebody, we have daycare, we have school, we have church, we got all that stuff down there and some morons doing 80 miles an hour. Not when they're in session, but he also does it at 6. And when they test run the motorcycles, when they're checking them out, so to speak, same thing, 60, 70 miles an hour. I yelled at a guy yesterday. He blew up there and I hear him winding out and he winds it out and yelled at him and he just kept on going and didn't come back that way that time. So, but yeah, thank you.
okay. Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wanted to say something?
Do I have to say my name again?
Just for the minutes,
All
though.
right, sorry. Alex DiMarzio, 2311 Marietta Ave. At the end of August, we will be purchasing 2307 Marietta Ave. Has a nice driveway right in the front. You can park there if you want to as well.
Okay.
We won't be using that for a while, but you're more than welcome to use that. I'll let you know next month too, how that progresses, if the police officers would like to use it.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone on Zoom that wanted to speak or say anything? Okay. All right, well, if that is it, then we are
Just-
going to adjourn
Mr.
the.
Chairman, excuse
Yes.
me, just one more thing, just for the record, so I can, just for clarification, the Nisley Road thing on your report. You mentioned you had 4 NRAD details and you had 11 citations. What was the top speed?
$48.
48. And the 5 warnings were generally like 5 miles above or
They were, speeds roughly like 41, 42 miles an hour were most of the warnings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Ms. Rich?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, we will adjourn the Traffic Commission at 6:28. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock for the Board of Supervisors. So we'll see everyone at 7. Thank you. Thank you.